Harley-Davidson, product manager for Screamin Eagle, and to my left, Scott Miller,
Hey,
also product manager for Screamin Eagle. And on the end, the illustrious HB. He's our Screamin Eagle trainer at HDU. So we got something unique here today, and I just want to point out, I think you guys had a chance to see everything we have here at the show, and I'm hoping that you kind of got the general theme of everything. This is an experience show. We understand that we're trying to move away from things that are just on a wall that you can read or that you speak to. We're trying to turn everything into an experience, and that's why we're actually super excited about this one, because it is very interactive. It's really up to you guys to decide on what we have to say and what it means to you. So, this here is really about stage one. Stage one is letting more air in and out of the engine. It is the foundation for performance. And we did this, actually we do this all the time, right? Shame on us, because we have the same questions that you do. Like, how do we stack up? And we know, but we've never really told you, so that's what we're doing here today. For stage one, what we did is we evaluated some of our competitors, and the reason we did it this time again is because this bike right here represents our new Screamin Eagle touring mufflers, the new street cannons. Just a little bit to explain about it, when you see these come into stock, they are the same part number, but they are superseded to an A. The first thing that you'll see if you open up the box is on the side, you'll see a new logo on there, a new Screamin Eagle logo, in a different location, and it's laser marked. That's your identifier that these are clearly different than the original ones that we put out a couple years ago. Why did we do this? Because we were going through a flurry of activity when we were so excited about the Milwaukee 8, and we had all the stages and there all the parts. And when we went to the exhaust side of things and we went to a 4.5-inch muffler, that diameter allows us to do a lot with sound. And after we launched and then all these competitors came out, we took a look at it and said, whoa, I think there's something else that we can do here. We can change the sound more because we have more real estate to play with. So we created a new muffler, we stacked them up against everybody else, and that's what we're going to show. So when you talk about stage one, this is how customers experience stage one. It's based on sound, style, and performance. Style is pretty easy to judge. You can look at it and see for yourself. Performance and sound is a little bit harder to evaluate. And a lot of times performance is just based on sound. People think, oh, that one's really awesome, it's loud, it's really powerful. And that may not always be the case. So that's what we did. That's why we tested it. So up here, the first graph that we have is a representation of the stage one with the competitors that you see in front of you. And I'll go through that real quick. This one here that you see is a Cobra Neighbor Hater. The next one here is Reinhardt 4-inch, followed by the S&S MK45s, and then finally on the end there is the Vance & Hines Destroyers, the 450 oversized mufflers. So when we put all these together and we actually measured them, what you see is a whole bunch of lines on this graph. We got a stock one and then basically 5 lines on top of it. Somewhere in there Screamin Eagle is. And what does it mean? It means we all relatively do a good job of setting the foundation, because the engine only takes as much air as it needs, and there's not a whole lot of restriction in the stock bikes anymore. So we lifted that restriction, there was a little bit of a bump there, that's what we got. So then we asked ourselves, okay, what does that mean? The foundation, is there a difference in foundations? So to prove that, what we did is we built another bike. This one here is a 114 stage 4 bike. So now we made the engine much bigger and it requires much more air to feed it. So we could evaluate how good that foundation really is. Now what you see is things start to separate. It's not a whole lot, but there is quite a bit of separation. If you look at peak power on the end, you'll see now Screamin Eagle is at the top or near the top. And that's great. But what does that mean? Not everybody races everywhere they go. Peak power is great for bragging rights, but how about where you ride? So this graph here with this line, that represents 3,000 RPM. Because at some point, every rider rides at 3,000 RPM. So now when you look at this, you can start to see a real separation, especially in the torque. So the purpose of doing this and showing this is to let you see for yourself, we think there is a difference in the foundation. So now you can go back, you can talk to your customers, And again, the style piece is pretty easy. Now you can explain performance, and they still look at you and go, so what? Well, if that's the look you get, then it really is just about sound. So if it's about sound, that's why we have these bikes here, so you can judge for yourself. Sound is very subjective. It varies from person to person. And as a customer evaluates the sound, there's 2 points of reference. There's one from the saddle and one from behind the bike. You guys are all standing back there, so you get to see behind the bike. And I'm sure you know from the saddle that everything is a lot quieter up here anyway. So from the back, you'll get a chance to evaluate all these, and we're going to go through basically 3 stages to represent the customer and his mindset. So the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to start the bike up, and that customer will have that feeling right away. It's like, what does it sound like at idle? So we'll start each one up, and we'll let it idle for a couple seconds, and then we'll rev it up to 2,800 to 3,000 RPM. The bikes are not under load, but we're trying our best to show what it would be like under cruising speed, so you can evaluate that sound. And then finally, we'll give them a couple reps so that you can hear what it really sounds like when you sound off. What we have here on the end is a stock bike, and this is just to reset the baseline so you understand what this is. The next bike will be the new Screamin Eagles. We didn't put the old ones in here. We're just trying to keep this as simple as we can. And the fact that we're doing this inside in California, we need to run the bikes as little as possible. So stock bike, and now the new Screamin Eagles. I think you'll notice that it's probably quite a bit different than the old ones that we did. Again, utilizing that space that we have in there as a 4.5 inch muffler, we increased the size of the core greatly, and that really amplified that deep bass tone that comes out of there. So, now we're going to do one next to the other, so you can have a side-by-side comparison of the Screamin Eagle against some of our top competitors. The first one is the Cobra Neighbor Haters. Next up is the Reinhardt 4-inch. Next, these are the SNS MK45s. And the last one on the end is the Vance & Hines 450 oversized destroyers. Sound is very subjective. Picking any one of these and saying that it is the best sound is like saying this bike right here in blue is the best color there is. So again, we did this so you can decide for yourself. And just so you understand, what we set up here is to take all the variables out of sound testing. This is truly just the mufflers. These are all stock bikes with mufflers only, which is different than the performance testing that we did, which is a very apples to apples, using all of their stage 1 components on there compared to our stage 1 components. So hopefully you got something to take away, and I tell you what, if you guys have any questions, let's hear it. And if you got other feedback for things like this that we can do in the future, we would love to do it. And the lawyers are always just anticipating us sitting down talking about the next thing we're going to do. If not, feel free to come up to the booth and ask us one-on-one. Thanks, guys.